No.
No.
I think I can see Laura just pulled up now, so we'll get underway shortly.
Got it.
How much rain you get last night, John?
Pardon?
How much rain did you get last night?
Just about 5 mils.
We got 15.
Okay. Yeah, it was pretty black out the front there. Yeah.
Pangarara only got 4.
Hey, Laura.
Oh. No, we got 15 in that time,
Yeah.
which was good.
Was a good top up.
You can kick off when you're ready, Shane.
All right, thanks, Benella. We'll do that. I think we've got everybody here. I see William on board now. That's cool. Billy, hey, first of all, welcome everybody to our community board meeting. First one of 2022. Feels like forever since we've had one with all the things that have happened over the last few months, but it's good to be able to have a meeting here. It's a bit of a different one, obviously a bit of face-to-face as well as Zoom, but that's the climate we're working at the moment. A warm welcome to the public forum. People are coming on tonight to speak, which is great. So we're looking forward to hearing from you guys. So I'll declare the meeting open and I'll ask for any apologies. Nobody? I think we're 100%. Brilliant. All right. Number 4, consideration of any late items. I don't think there is any. That's fine. And obviously, I need to know the members call for any declarations of conflict of interest. So please make it quite clear if you have any interest in any of the topics that may or may not come up. All right. So pretty much we'll move straight into the public forum. I'll call for a nominated second and breakaway.
You don't need to do that, Shane.
I don't need to.
You don't
Yeah,
need
that's
to.
cool. Just grab a list of the people that want to talk. I've got you, Rabina, as one definitely on our list. Is there anybody else from the public forum that wants to speak as well tonight?
Yes, Shane, Max here, please.
Max, great, Max. Good to see you. Kirsty, are you part of?
She's muted.
Who's muted?
If I have to, I don't mind, but I think Max and Rabina have got us.
Okay, all right. So you're just coming, yep, good as gold. That's always the opportunity if you want to say something.
Cool.
Definitely. All right, so we'll break into public forum. Rabina, it's lovely to see you. The floor is all yours.
Okay, I'm just trying to exit the full screen, sorry. Thanks, Shane. Yeah, it's nice to be here. So, tēnā koutou katoa. For those I haven't met, ko Rubina Tapsell ahau o tako ingoa, no Maketu e noho anō. So good evening, everyone. Rubina Tapsell, and I whakapapa and reside in Maketu. So firstly, again, thank you to council and board members for the opportunity to share tonight in relation to beekeeping with specific regard to bees and the consequential nuisance incurred by neighbouring properties within close proximity. Nuisance that's been incurred over a period of at least the past 6 months, and I stand corrected on that, it could be longer. And a nuisance that remains current. So I'm mindful that some of you may have already been briefed around the shared concerns and current issues. However, I would like to start by providing some background before sharing about the nature of the nuisance, the effects on day-to-day living, and lastly, inquiries made to date. So before I hand over to Max, who will share more around zoning and future risk, this is an approach that I'm hoping will help to ensure that we're all riding in the same waka in an endeavour to ensure the same level of understanding of the issues at hand. So if you'll allow me to start with some background. The Spencer Avenue property at 94, currently housing the bees, is currently classified under rural zoning and subject to council regs or animal bylaw, enabling an unlimited number of hives. As we speak, the number of hives in question equates to 20 or thereabouts, comparable with residential zoning, where a limit of 2 hives per property exists. So in essence, a significantly higher number of hives than allowed within a residential zone, which has inevitably given rise to nuisance and concerns of considerably more intensity. So what does a significant or consequential nuisance look like? The nuisance referred to is of a multifaceted nature. Firstly, the poop nature, which consists of a yellow wax-like substance lodged as either yellow droplets or clump-like splats. The nature and the extent of the droppings have had the effect of discolouring many areas of a number of homes, and aside from discolouring various areas of a building or home, including windows and roofs, outdoor furniture, motor vehicles and daily washing of significant scale have also been affected. The frequency and the expensiveness of this defecation has created in some cases a mass yellow look, as in the case of one homeowner on Wilson Road North, who has decided to delay roof placement due to extensive excrement covering his current roof. Another homeowner on Spencer Avenue reports her weekend trips to her Maketu retreat have been spent behind a water blaster in an attempt to remove caked on poop. These accounts epitomise the efforts of numerous residents, and there are others who share a financial outlay in an endeavour to restore stained bedding, replace outdoor furniture coverings, or recoating a pool cover to restore it to its condition following caked defecation. Additionally, and not least, health and safety concerns have been raised again as a direct result of the intense bee population. A number of homes report of medically confirmed bee allergies, one of which is recorded, as far as I'm aware, as potentially life-threatening, and all of which can be medically verified. Additionally, homeowners report of hay fever and the like, which have undoubtedly been exacerbated following the introduction of the high number of hives. These sufferers report of an immediate improvement in their condition on leaving the area. I'm trusting this outline has enabled a somewhat clearer picture of the somewhat yellowish summer many of us have encountered. However, not without interruption of what should have been a time to unwind and enjoy with family and friends. Any questions at this stage? My intention is not to lose you.
Definitely, Ravina. Anyone on the floor? If anyone wishes to ask from the board, just raise your hand or get my attention. But at this stage,
Thanks, Shane.
we're happy.
All right. Thank you. So moving on to inquiries made to date, these have included gaining an understanding of, firstly, as previously referred to, the Western Bay District bylaws and around animals and residential zoning, which I acknowledge most of you will already have knowledge of. However, my intention is to cover off these inquiries made and other legal provisions that currently exist around beekeeping, so as to achieve a full picture of legal provisions that exist or don't exist. So around residential zoning in the current Western Bay animal bylaw provides for a maximum of 2 beehives, and there's a primary focus and repeated reference made within that particular bylaw to both nuisance and dangerous to health. as well as specific reference to nuisance, including so as not to be offensive. An inquiry around the Ministry of Primary Industries and laws pertaining to bees pertains predominantly or primarily to the protection of bees and the legal obligation for beekeepers to register their hives so as to prevent a biosecurity outbreak. Inquiries have been made with WorkSafe, previously known as OSH, and again their law and regulations around beekeeping is primarily for the safety and well-being of beekeepers and staff. And lastly, if checking bylaws, Western Bay Council bylaws and rural zoning around, animals and bylaws and rural zoning, if checking, you will note that this law or bylaw provides that there is no limit to rural property owners and the number of hives kept on a rural property. And subsequently, no regard given to or reference made to nuisance, danger, and or safety risks pertaining to neighbouring properties, as was the case you would have heard with residential zoning. To summarise these inquiries, you will have noted that the various laws referred to have a primary objective with regard to protection, whether it be to protect bee personnel, bees, and all residential communities. It would appear, and I stand to be corrected, that there is an absence of law or reference made to beekeeping and avoiding nuisance or danger to rural residing communities. It should be noted that Council do provide opportunity for community pre-engagement prior to bylaw review. Nonetheless, as we speak, current bylaws around beekeeping in rural areas make no reference to nuisance or danger risks to residents, rural residents. In conclusion, and I know you'll be clapping your hands here. In conclusion, the current zoning of property at 94 Spencer Avenue has enabled the owner to house an unlimited number of beehives. The scale of this enterprise has inevitably impacted on neighbouring properties within close proximity. An impact inclusive of health and safety issues, economic loss, and further loss of a peaceful, enjoyable lifestyle. This current experience by residents is in contrast to a key element of Western Bay Council vision, captured as we can all enjoy a healthy and safe lifestyle. And I refer you to Western Bay District Council Code of Conduct. Furthermore, as outlined, no reference is currently afforded to potentially affected parties in both the development and review of current animal bylaws pertaining to rural area zonings. Zoning, as have other laws and regulations provided for. So collectively, and before handing over to yourself, Max, we remain hopeful that the outlined issues and concerns can be addressed without first and foremost compromise to our bees, but pivotal to our environment, and not least without further compromise to affected residents of Maketu, both now and in the future. Thanks, Max. Thank you.
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Rowena. Good evening. For the people that don't know me, I'm Max Johnson from 59 Spencer Avenue, Maketu. I've lived here for 69 years and also worked in the same place. Thank you to the board members that came on site to see what our problems are. This bee poo nuisance has never been an issue in all the time I've lived in Maketu, and it's become a very stressful event, knowing that the bee poo could happen again if the present situation is allowed to carry on. Where to from here? We need an on-site meeting sooner rather than later with the community board members, councillors and staff to physically show where the problem has come from and why we're also affected. This will be an ongoing problem because the hives are on rural zone land at 94 Spencer Avenue, Maketu. Even though a number of us have approached the owners to come to some form of arrangement, there's been no shifting in their thinking. This is a unique rural zone in a community that is predominantly surrounded by residential and commercial properties. That's Kahongareo, the Whakaui Marae, the Hauhora Community Centre and emergency service building. Possible solutions to solve this potentially ongoing situation. Each of the 18 survey block owners can put as many hives as they like on these blocks under rural zoning. One would be to leave as a rural zone, but in this unique area, beekeeping has to be kept at the same criteria as residential sections, although multiplying by 18 sections will still be a very large number of beehives. 2, change the whole rural zone to rural residential if that can help to alleviate the beehive problems. 3, we believe the rural zone should not be changed to residential because of major implications it could have on existing properties. I am personally disappointed that this Western Bay Plenty staff did not come onto any of our properties to see the widespread mess and stress it was causing all of us from this obvious public nuisance. As we were told, they appreciated our issues, but there was nothing that we could do. That's the end of my thing there. The only thing is I think we've potentially got 11 submissions that need to be submitted by all affected parties. So we've got to get that in, I think you said within the next week or something, Shane.
Yeah, to be in the minutes, Max, yeah, next week or two, yep, definitely.
So all we've got to do is find who we email those to.
Yes, I've spoken to Penella, so she'll make contact with you, Max.
Okay, thank you. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Max. Kirsty, did you want to add anything, or are you still happy?
Nah, I think they've kind of both said it for us, but it's just getting a bit of a nuisance, and I'm kind of getting sick of the kids getting stung, and Nars is quite sick of getting stung. But yeah.
Thank you, Kirsty. Thank you, Robina, and thank you, Max. I will open it to any of the community board or councillors that would like to ask any questions of Robina or Max. Queries?
Well explained.
Well explained. Yeah, look, I've personally witnessed the deformation of what the bees have been doing. I've had the pleasure of being up there at Max's place and seeing firsthand what these little critters do, and I certainly sympathise with you in all respects to it. I too have been in Makatu as long as Max has, and we've seen some fantastic changes, some good and some bad. But what does concern me is this very small rural block of land that is now surrounded by many, many residential houses. And this probably wasn't an issue 30, 40, 50 years ago. But obviously, as we move forward, it is an issue as today, and it may be an issue even worse in the coming future. I believe your presentation tonight has been very thoughtful and productive, and believe me, it hasn't fallen on deaf ears. We have a couple of councillors here listening, and as well as the CEO of the council, and obviously with any supporting documents that you wish to put also into it, will be much appreciated. And obviously, we'll keep this line of conversation going. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, no other public forum members, Penella, out there that I don't know?
I haven't had any register that are on, so I'm not sure if you would like to speak in public forum. I will ask that you unmute yourself. Otherwise, I'm assuming they're just here to listen.
Sorry, Penelope, so I can just interrupt there. So first of all, alongside Max, I just want to thank everybody for
I'm on here.
listening, but also too in your consideration of what has been shared tonight. And Shane, you've made mention there of the fact that the outlines will be minuted and followed up. Are we privy at this stage to what that follow-up might look like?
Not really. One of my questions was going to be is how, if or what can the community board do to assist with this? Obviously, we have limited powers. What you're talking about is quite a law change, if I can use that term. You're talking about changing rural to rural residential, that sort of stuff. It's obviously
It's
a little
not
bit
easy, Shane. It's going to take a huge amount to do that, and it's not going to happen in 5 minutes.
Although in saying that, I don't think, well, I would hope that we're not limiting what we can do to only law change. I guess I'm hopeful that what we can do, perhaps there are other measures that can be discussed.
How come I'm not on there?
You are.
Yeah, other than law change. And I mean, I totally acknowledge and accept that law change is a lengthy process, but I'm hopeful for the meantime that there are perhaps other considerations given to remedy.
Does Yvonne want to say something?
Yeah. Yvonne, I see you on there. Can you hear us? Would you like to add to it? I'm going to take your mute button off.
Okay.
You're still on mute there, Yvonne.
Now?
Yep.
Yes. We've had the same problem as what Robina and Maximum have had around here with the bee poo and all that over the windows, over the cars, to the extent where sometimes I used to go out when it rained with the broom to clean it off the windows, on the clothes. And I also made it quite clear to number 4 that I was allergic to bee stings, that I swell up, and we don't have our great-grandchildren down here anymore in case they get stung, and how do we know how they're going to be reacted to it? So, and like Max, we've been here 50 years and never had any problem like this before. So, yeah.
Good. Well, thank you. Thank you for your input.
Hey, Shane,
Yes. Yes.
has everyone had a meeting with this guy, and how does he feel about it? Is he concerned, or is he just, pie in the sky to them?
Yeah, okay. I originally went and saw Hannah, who's the daughter that lives down there. I thought I'd been very nice about it, and I know in my mind I was, but I apparently upset her. When I rang Dad, Ken, he told me I'd upset her, and I invited them to come around our place to have a look, and all his reaction was, you cannot prove they're from our bees or Hannah's bees. And that was that. So I haven't spoken to him since then. I mean, I thought we were reasonably good neighbours when they were doing the work down there, because that's the area of land that's been built up. And you know where the fill come from, out your way. And as trying to be a good neighbour, he got stuck there. I helped him out, helped to get it back into grass sooner rather than later, because it was creating a problem for Wayne and Yvonne with dust. And I feel quite gutted in the sense that what I call new people in the community can just walk all over other people and don't give a damn about them. So I've got to watch my words, because this is recorded forever, apparently.
Gosh.
So yes, we've tried. I think a lot of people haven't been to see. I tried to encourage other people to go, but they didn't want to to rock the boat, I think, and things like that. So yes, it's even though there's a lot of people are very upset, they haven't physically gone to sea.
So this guy, a commercial beekeeper.
No, I think it's more of a hobby of Hannah's, I think. No, he's retired. I think that him, Ken and Jane, the parents of Hannah, they actually live up Town Point Road, so they don't, they're up there.
Perhaps just to add to that too, to add to Max's update there, we did speak, both Kathy and I did speak with compliance, is it, at Western Bay Council, and a follow-up with Ken, the owner, was made by compliance, and the response after discussions with Ken was that, quote, I can have as many hives as I like and no one's going to stop me. So at the end of the day, in summary, that was his conclusive response.
Mm.
All right, interesting. Yeah, right. Look, I certainly share your concerns, and obviously it's an issue that's dear to your hearts, and I don't blame you for that. I've seen it. Moving forward, I can't give you an answer tonight. No doubt I'll be having some conversations with staff and other bits and pieces. Obviously, your comments tonight have been recorded, and obviously any documentation that you want to put in following it also, we'll look at it as well. So all I can say is I wish you best, and you know, obviously this is not going to fall over. We'll obviously do what we can to assist in whichever way we can.
Yeah, so just one other thing, Shane, is the situation, well, from our point of view, has certainly lessened. Kathy has virtually got all the windows cleaned, and in the last week, there's a little bit on there, but not too bad. It wasn't like when you saw it. So we've gone through the worst of it. But of course, what is really worrying all us now is I think these hives are going into orchards when they're due to go in. And of course, our concern is when they come back after that.
Yes, yeah, talking to you yesterday, Max, you understand it's a different sort of season for the bees at the moment. And secondly, I believe that he has reduced some of the hives. Is that true?
Yeah, some have gone, but the trouble is we can't work out how many hives are there. Nobody's been on site. We can only look from the road. We don't know. Certainly some have gone away, but at the moment, there's still quite a number there.
I think there's still around 20 or so, and when you look in comparison to the 2 that's allowed within residential, it's still a relatively significant number.
Certainly, not taking that away. Great. All right. If there's no further to add to it, are we all happy? We all.
Thanks, Shane.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We're going to break away from public forum. You're more than welcome to listen in if you want to, stay with the rest of the meeting, or you can break away and watch Neighbours or have dinner, or whatever the case may be. But again, thank you so much for coming along tonight under these trying circumstances and bringing your issues to us. So wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hang on, don't put back on.
Let's just have a 30-second get together. All right, so I don't need a mover and a shaker, Penella, to move back into the meeting.
No, we never moved out, so that's fine.
Okay, all right. So on my agenda, we go straight into 8.1, minutes for consideration, minutes of the Maketu Community Board meeting held on the 16th of November. You've all had the opportunity to see it. Obviously felt like it's been years since we had that meeting. Yes. Was last year. So basically, if I can have a mover and a seconder for that, please. Yep. Stephen, seconder. Yep. Laura, those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you, team. All right, 9 reports. Page 9 going by this.
Oh, page 14, Shane.
Yeah, sorry, page 14. All right, so first off the block is myself. I'll welcome John too. He's joined our meeting, thank you. First off the block is myself. So, yep, I'll just give you a brief overview of the of what's happening. A few bullet points here. Basically, the summer season. It's been a good one weather-wise, definitely. We've certainly seen a few people coming and enjoying what Maketu's had to offer. Barbecues have been given a hammering, which is always great to see. Next on my report is obviously a comment on the community centre. What a fantastic job Maketu Rotary has been doing. Refurbishment of the building is getting close to completion. David Campbell and his crew have done an amazing job at transforming the building into a user-friendly, practical, multi-use building. So this is pretty much the first time the community board is able to come in here and pretty much see it. I spoke to David Campbell today. He says 95% complete, and even he was today putting the furniture together. So certainly a privilege to be able to be here tonight and experience the transformation. Well done to Rotary. The new cycleway is being well patronised with many families using it daily. However, maintenance is slipping and large amounts of vegetation is growing across the path, reducing it to a narrow lane and no passing. That is disappointing. We did raise that at our last meeting in regards to the maintenance. It has been done. Oh, look at that. Yesterday. Okay, so it's funny how that happens.
I raised it like 3 months ago.
It's almost as if the contractors know what night our meeting is. So that's great. Good to hear. Graffiti vandalism. Sadly, we're now starting to see more graffiti and vandalism in our lovely village. The entrance signs, fire station, private vehicles. Yes, that was disheartening to see that. Our beautiful signs that were erected only a few months ago got graffitied. Saw pictures of a lady's car down here, which wasn't nice. And obviously even the containers here at the fire station were graffitied. So hopefully those culprits will get caught and dealt to appropriately. Spencer Ave Park Reserve, great to hear the resource consent has been approved. So now we can start beginning in and levelling off clean fill and starting to reserve. Looking good. It's great timing with the Parks Reserves Management Plan happening at the moment. So that's a good thing. I know Max is still with us. He's been an advocate for that reserve for a very long time too. So finally, the resource consent has been given the green light, and we can now start bringing more fill back in and levelling it off and getting it to a usable standard. Surf Club car park, a very productive on-site meeting took place to identify immediate maintenance work that could be done to make this area safer and provide better access to the beach. Probably say a little bit more about that when the infrastructure report comes up. And vehicle access to skateball, the board has been talking about it for some time now, and would like to see a concept plan of better access to the skateball. And I think again Stephen will bring something up that soon. Maketu market, it was great to see the market start up over for the summer, but sadly it was short-lived as we moved into the red light setting. This is a well patronised event, so hopefully we'll start up again in the near future. So it was disappointing. It's always great to see that market going and flourishing, and unfortunately it stopped as quickly as it started. I've only got a couple of points here of verbal update that I want to raise with the board and get comment back if they wish. One is the cemetery development and pest control. Obviously, we need an update on regards to the cemetery, what's happening up there, whether new plots, excavation work's been done, etc., etc. And I have had several people complaining to me about the pests up there, more so to rabbits and stuff like that, and what council or what we can do about that coming up. Repairs and maintenance to the Maketu boat ramp. It's been brought to my attention, and Parks and Reserves know about this. The bottom end of the boat ramp is undermined, and a very good chance it will probably snap off and disappear. So works, or medium works, needs to be done on that sooner than later. So hopefully we'll have more conversations with Parks and Reserves in regards to getting that repaired sooner than later. Other one to talk about was zoning and activity use around rural and urban land. Strangely enough, that's exactly what 99% of the public forum was about. So I won't beat any more about that. It's made quite clear that, 50, 60 years ago, it was a little piece of rural land with maybe 10 houses around it. Now it's still that little piece of rural land, but with probably 100 houses around it, maybe more. Food for thought. New barbecue at the monument area. Just really an update with you, William, how you're getting on with that, and what stage we are. You may want to bring that up at the infrastructure service report as well. And obviously, we still need to go through the tenders of the tree pruning and vegetation cleanup, which we talked about last year, and we need to deal with. And that's to do with the puhutakawas coming into Maketu being trimmed, and the vegetation at the new lookout area up on Arrow Ave to be sorted out. So there's my report.
Shane, sorry,
yes.
if I can through you. I'm not sure how it got missed off, but the Rotary Club in regards to the community centre were just after a little bit more funding for some I've emailed it to you. It's just for some storage in the community centre, and a formica top to match the kitchen, and then the installation costs of those. So it comes to 3,174. So they've just come to the board to see if they can get that extra funding. So if you'd like to discuss it. Sorry, I'm not sure how
I did have that. I was going to raise it later, but if you're happy, I can raise it now. I have had a meeting with Rotary and the builders down here in regards to a shortfall. It's a little bit more than the 3.7. We've gone through the building and looked at what they've done and what needs to be done. What we've looked at is the kitchen units came, but because the design has been slightly changed, the bench tops don't fit it, if that makes sense. So there's going to be a cost possibly for a new bench top, was one of the items that they hadn't planned for. The toilet area was a change from the original plan to fit within the council's requirements, and also it required a second wall or a second door, because under the rules you can't have one door going into a toilet, you could have two or whatever, a dividing wall. So again, that was not accounted for. Storage area, there was again no storage allowed for within the original plan, so they were looking for storage to run along that back wall under the window there, which would be some lockable, some unlockable, just to put bits and pieces in. One that probably hurt the most, and the one that they probably weren't prepared for, was the consensus. It wasn't as simple as pulling off the lining and putting new lining up. It had to go within the whole building code, which basically opened everything up from fire to you name it. So what they budgeted for was a 1K resource consent, actually came out at 4K. So that was a shortfall there. And last but not least, part of the agreement was the painting. They always said if they had an underspend, they would paint the outside. What had happened is council came to the party with the paint, or most of the paint, but they supplied the labour and a bit of extra paint and plus preparation to do the outside. And that was only meant to be done if there was an underspend. So they're coming out, Penella, more somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000 to complete those existing projects.
Why couldn't they bring this one figure, Shane?
Sorry?
8,000.
I'm thinking it's going to be closer to 8. Yep.
So what do they want, Shane? Do they want some funding?
Yes, there's about a shortfall, Kevin, of about 8,000 to complete all those things I just spoke about.
So have the community board what have the community board put into it? Have they put anything into it at this stage?
We did a $50,000 grant at the beginning, and they were going to supply the labour and also match another 15,000 to it, which brought the project to around about 65,000, not including labour. It was just some of the shortfall was basically from unforeseen circumstances.
So the only way that we can get that finished really is if you
Go 50-50 with the council.
Yeah, I'm looking for answers there, Kevin. Oh, we're losing you.
I think.
Have you got our reserves fund balance on you?
it's not working too well. You're right. Can you hear me?
Okay, now, yep.
Can we just wait?
How much?
Oh,
8,000, Kevin.
Yeah, I know it's 8,000, but have we got the ability, or the community board got the ability to fund that extra to help them out and to get the building finished? Because there's a hell of a lot of labour gone that building, isn't there? And if we've got, okay, something else might have to go by the boards, but the community centre is used by everyone, isn't it? So it might be a good idea to, to look at doing some more funding for it.
so, yeah. Well, to me, some of those things are probably more critical than others. So we wouldn't necessarily need to approve the whole lot, but could we just hear first from Nello what the
We got heaps of money. Yeah.
balances?
Yeah, Penella, did you get my question in regards to the balance of our reserve account?
Yes, so in the financial report, after you're committed, it's sitting at 57,172.
57, Roger.
Well, I think that we should actually put some more money into this out of that fund, because this is an asset for Maketu, and as everyone can enjoy it, we're only there to, as a community board, to look after people of Maketu, because that is our area. So I think that spending some more money in there, maybe, not the whole lot, but a proportion of it to get this finished, and would be a hell of a good idea, I think.
Sean, you want to add to that?
I was going to say, could I test the water if I moved the motion? I'm still thinking about how to word it.
Okay, all right. Well, you keep thinking.
Just give them some money.
I said we authorise the chairman to liaise with Rotary to negotiate completion of those projects as far as possible. And I'm not sure, given 57, we could probably say up to $8,000, subject to other fundraising opportunities.
Yep.
Does that sound more or less right? So that if we can raise some money elsewhere, what I'm thinking is it might not be necessary for the community board to dip in their pocket the whole sum.
Yep.
Yeah, I quite like
There is $8,000 that they want, isn't it, Shane?
Yes.
More or less.
Yeah, yes, correct. Yeah. He was when we went through it today, Kevin, it came between 6 and 8. Yeah. He was basically waiting for some of the other last quotes to come through.
Well, I don't know, but John, you've put a motion forward that you think that, and that's my feeling, that we should, put some more money into this, because, as I said before, it's a bloody good thing to have.
Yeah,
And we haven't got anything else around there to use, so
yeah.
That's my feeling.
So John wants to speak, but that's essentially what I'm saying. Try and find a way to get the building project completed at the least extra cost to the community.
Absolutely. John, you want to add to the conversation?
I agree in principle with what you're talking about. I'm just wondering whether we've got assurance that the full extent of their contribution has been put into it. Have we got assurance or evidence of that it's all been spent?
I'll definitely ask the question. I'll be very surprised if it's not.
Yeah, it's not a trust thing.
He's quite a methodical person.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure he'll have it right down to the last 2 cents.
Okay.
So yes, yeah.
I wouldn't even go and ask them.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor. Is there any other discussion? William,
The motion is what? Just give them how much?
I said up to $8,000, subject to other fundraising opportunities, and that leaves the door open if we can tap anyone else on the shoulder to get some of that.
I'd second that motion.
Board doesn't have to fork it all out.
Well, even if we do, it's still a bloody good project.
That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, if we have to go to that extent, we can.
Yeah.
But if we can.
What I'm mindful of too is we've got another 17,400 coming in on the 1st of July. That should be earmarked. I would like to say, keeping on with your motion, up to $8,000, but coming out of that new lot that's coming in.
Okay.
If that makes sense, because I know council jumps on my case every year and says, Shane, what are you using that money for?
Well, we've used it now. We've used half of it, so that's all right.
Use half of it, that's right. So I only get half of it.
Yeah. Bloody good job.
All right, okay. All right, because also at the last meeting, we also talked about the possibly a deck going onto the building too. So maybe we
could be $10,000.
But
that's an afterthought. We get the whole thing done inside, and that can be looked at later.
Yeah, I think so too, Kevin. We'll look at completing this and
absolutely.
All right, so you've got John's motion on the floor.
Can I get you to just read that again to make sure that I've captured everything correctly, or say it again?
What do I say?
Well, I've got that the Maketu Community Board
give approval for the chairman of the community board to liaise with the Rotary in regards to the completion of the building project, and authorise the spending of up to $8,000 subject to other funding, fundraising efforts.
Yeah, I'd second that.
Seconded.
Yep.
Those in favour say aye. Aye. That's carried. Thank you.
Done.
Okay, so I don't know why that correspondence got missing, Penelope, but at least we've dealt to it.
Sorry about that, Shane.
Yeah, all good. All right, moving along.
We were on your chair reports today.
Yep.
I just wanted to ask, I don't know if Penelope, you might know, but does council keep any sort of records of graffiti in the area? Like, so that they can eventually catch up with the person and pin them to all these different locations?
I wouldn't know, Laura, but I can definitely ask for you.
Yeah, that'll be good, because I really want to catch the person who's done. I already know who's done it, but I know that I need more proof to that. So I'm waiting to get that, but yeah, it'd be good to know if council has documentation around graffiti in the area.
I have heard
Especially on,
but I've heard anecdotal evidence of council start talking about they can pick up trends and identify people through stuff you see in
and especially
places.
if the graffitis happen on the council.
Whether they have an
assets.
actual record, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, that's my report. Is there any other further questions? If not, I'd like to move my report. Do I have a seconder? Laura, seconded by Laura. Those in favour say aye. Kerry, thank you. Awesome. All right, what are you up to now? The most exciting part of the meeting, and that's the councillor's report. You don't think you've been the short straw, John? Yeah.
Yes.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, well, I don't need to say much more about COVID, but it's a frustration for us all. But I guess even since I wrote this report, it's pretty concerning to have, local schools, Pongakawa school shut down. It's not that far away. Issues in Paingaroa. Even one of my neighbours came home today and went to bed, not necessarily because he had COVID, but he was worried about the possibilities. So it just reinforces it's pretty close at hand and the care that's required. So just a few things there I put to comment on. Three Waters reform is a big topic for a lot of things at the moment, a lot of people. As you know, there was, just recapping, there was a lot of dissatisfaction with the government's proposal, and there's a working party been working through trying to address some of those issues, and they have to present their findings, well, to government officials next month. And I guess things will become a bit clearer after that as to how this proceeds, whether any of those proposals are accepted and used to modify the proposal that's on the table at the moment. But it's still pretty much a wait and see thing for us at the moment. The review of local government has been chugging away in the background. We haven't heard too much about it up till now, which is a bit of a worry given that they have to make their report by September. However, we do have a meeting scheduled with the panel. Our council is what I mean by we. I think it's in about 2 weeks' time from memory. And so we'll have that discussion with them, and they'll probably want to hear what we have to say. And I doubt if they'll be given much away as to what they're thinking as yet, but that's really where that is. The district plan review has been talked about for probably a couple of years now, but this is the year when it's really meant to ramp up and go forward and try and get things in place over the next year or so for a draft plan, see what the people think. So it's very important when you hear consultation talk and things like that, that you take the opportunity, if you have views, because we don't want it just captured by a few small interest groups. The other thing is that it's already been talked about, and the issue regarding the bees earlier, you know, right just across the road, potential for changes, but I'd like to think that there might be other ways of dealing with that without draconian or wholesale changes to address that. But anyway, we've got to talk about that with staff and at council. Annual plan is coming up. Again, we don't envisage major changes from what was proposed in the long-term plan. So we expect that to run pretty close to what you've said. I guess the biggest challenge probably is that inflation's ramping up more rapidly than we anticipated, and that's likely to put a bit of pressure on things. So yeah, we'll just have to work through that, and you know, the alternatives are get the knife out, or maybe suck it up and acknowledge we have to have a bigger rates rise than we'd anticipate. It's always an undesirable option. The Deepuki wastewater plant, I think I've talked some time ago about considering as part of a new consent, which is now 3 years old, I think. The council is required to look at alternative ways of disposing of that waste rather than putting it into the Waiari. And so we've been through an extensive process of looking at forestry land that could be suitable, pasture land that could be suitable, reserve land that could be suitable, and land that could be suitable for a wetland system. It's really complicated. And just talking like this doesn't give recognition to the huge amount of work that's gone into this. But council approved last year or gave approval to staff to start sounding out some of the landowners whose land could be suitable for any of those options, for the blocks of land that we identified as potentially suitable, whether they have any interest in engaging with council to see whether they can be proceeded. So that's really just the first step of a very big process, and remains to be seen where that all gets to.
Just a question, John. If Three Waters take it over, then that problem goes to them, not you.
Correct.
So if Three Waters take over, our payments that we're paying for this on a pair, does that be annulled because it's going to the central government?
Well, they won't be annulled. We'll still have to make, but it'll be averaged across the.
Because
if it was to go ahead as is proposed,
yeah,
we are an entity too, which is Taranaki to Hamilton.
But what I'm saying is, do they take the bill over?
Yes.
And so the 500 extra that we pay in our rates towards that is taken away, and then their bill comes to us.
$1,000 you pay now is taken away, and they will allocate a bill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And because it's
I hope it's not higher.
it shouldn't be. All evidence is it should be lower.
Because it's spread across the country.
Inflation.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Where are we with the, we had a vote in council where it was a split vote, and what was that? That was a group of councillors or a big proportion of council were going to take the council or take the government on. So where are we with that? We're not involved in it because it was a split vote, and Gary's on that committee, and as far as I can see, it was
you couldn't hear you, Kevin.
It shouldn't have been because I'm at, what do you hear me? I bet you could. But
no, we couldn't. Honest, ask the others.
Yeah. I couldn't hear you, Kevin.
What about what I asked was, where are the councils that voted to go and put $15,000 into that to have a fund to fight the government? Is that still on, or what are they up to?
Yeah, they're still operating. If you check the emails, they sent us an email in the last day or two.
Oh, yeah. But we're not involved in that, are we?
Well, we're not supporting the legal action against the government.
Yeah. Well, that was a split vote, so it was pretty close to us helping, but yeah.
That group. Yeah. They sent an email the other day asking for support for names to go on petition stuff.
Yes.
This sort of thing.
All right. John, any more of your report to go?
I didn't have it on there, but I could just say that if I'm allowed to, the Puki Maketu Reserve Management Plan draft was adopted last week.
Yep.
And so that draft is now going to be going out for consultation to come up with a final solution.
Are we going to get to see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
You should see the draft very soon, and that's the opportunity to comment on the draft, whether you think it's what you want or not.
So we'll see
whether it needs more modification or whatever.
And who makes the final decision?
Councillors.
So we've got a meeting with Cassie Katie, is it? Katie on the 1st or 2nd week of March. All right, to go through that as well.
And this for that discussion.
Yeah.
For our community board input. Yeah. All right.
And I mean, in regard to your comment before about Spencer Avenue and the fill, like Spencer Avenue is now rated as a key sports field, and you know, so that's something
I
you've been
have
driving
seen
for.
that plan.
Yeah.
A sports field.
All right, any further questions of John on his report? You happy? Thank you, John. I'm sure you'd like to move your report.
Yep.
And I'm happy to second that. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Carried. Thank you, John. Awesome. Good stuff. All right, moving on. I think I've got a couple of recommendations coming up. 9.3 Makka Community Board Anzac Day commemorations. Move for a senator. The Makka Community provided a wreath Anzac up to $200. Okay, so obviously you've had a chance to read it. You've got an option A or an option B. Option A is what we have been doing for a number of years, and that's spending value of $200 wreath, which is presented on the day. And council also do one as well, don't you, John? Yes. So we've got an option this year of A, do we go ahead with it again, or B, not to fund one?
Yeah, I'll move it that we do. Fund it.
Fund it. Thank you,
Yep.
Kevin. I'm going to move it. I've got a seconded by Laura. Any further discussion? No. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Yes, carried. Penella, the only thing that I see missing is normally we give the Anzac committee itself some money.
$500.
It
Yeah.
comes through as a grant, so they have to apply for it through the grant application. I forwarded it on to you. That way they can get the money prior rather than invoicing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have we got a meeting before Anzac Day? Should be.
Yes.
We have.
Yeah.
Just so it will have to be really quick.
All right, I'll get in touch with the Anzac committee and get them to put something through then. Yep. All right.
Didn't we discuss last time about just having that available for Anzac Day? How we can make that fund available each year and then not have to go through that grant process?
No, the discussion was, should we even give it to them?
Yeah, I think, it was quite a discussion, William. It was going on to more that we were putting, little old Maketu was putting up a huge event for everybody to enjoy, but very few were dipping into their pocket to actually contribute to it. So the conversation was more going back to council that they should be considering funding or putting some funds towards it. That's how I understood it.
Oh,
Well, the one I understood was one group was getting more than the other, but I don't keep. I mean, it's a good cause that everybody takes a part in, and we should be giving it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think for something like that, it should be just, there should be a budget allocated each year that they don't have to apply for a grant to. It's just goes towards it. In my eyes, that's what I.
Oh, we must have all misheard you last year, because you were the one that brought up about it's unfair to the other groups because we're giving all this money to.
No, I never said that. I just said that if we do it for Anzac Day, we'll have to think about doing it for other groups. I never said it was unfair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I personally I'd be reluctant to make it an annual thing, because I would say it's probably a 10% chance that Anzac Day probably wouldn't even go ahead this year.
Yeah.
That would be my call. So I would hate to be giving Anzac Committee $500 for something that wasn't even going to happen. So my thoughts would be more to apply for that particular event on the year. But that's my thought.
Which table? Yeah.
Well, it has been. It always has been, Shane. So I don't think it's a big issue. It's just something that we do every year. But at least, as you said, if it's not going to be, if it's beyond this year, well, simple.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kevin.
Yeah, if COVID wasn't in the way, it'd be different.
Yeah. All right. So at this stage, we'll wait for an application to come in, and hopefully it'll come in for our next meeting. All right. Thank you.
I just get Shane, we just need to fill in who will be representing the Maketu Community Board, just so that we've got someone. Obviously, more than one person, can go, but we just have to have someone nominated.
At this stage, it'll probably be myself and Laura. If I can't, Stephen or William will follow me. Yep, so.
We were gonna do it last time.
Yeah. No. You got that, Penella? All right, that's done. All right, 9.4 infrastructure service report, Maketu community boards. So you've all had a chance to look at all that, all the figures, what we've been spending, what we've got left. Any comments there? We haven't got Callum on board tonight, Penella.
No, we don't. I think he must have got caught up. Apologies, I didn't hear anything.
Okay, all right.
You must have some trees down on the road somewhere.
All right, so pages 20 through to 45. So money one's all happy. If Callum was here, we'd get an update, no doubt, on some of the bits and pieces.
The surf club one's all good for now.
You're buzzing now.
Can I ask a question about the waste system that you might know? How is that working out? Has it?
It's here.
Yeah, I see all.
Well, there's a report there that
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
says it's going better than anticipated.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I
Well,
just wanted to
they're
hear from you.
collecting more than
Oh, that's good.
was predicted.
That's
Yeah,
good.
running ahead of target.
I read all those numbers in there, but that didn't mean much to me.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
wanted to hear from you guys.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it working? Because was it only a
They're-
trial basis? at
Oh,
first?
no,
Oh.
it's implemented, but it will be
Oh.
reviewed
Reviewed after.
and see if there's tweaks needed. I mean,
Do we
I
know?
was at a meeting, for instance, a while ago, and some people were grizzling that the glass containers weren't big enough,
Too
and
small, yeah.
things like that. But
Health and safety, yeah.
those can be considered through the review,
Hmm.
and they'll decide whether it's appropriate to continue or to change them.
And is everyone still moaning about tags? Like as opposed to Tauranga City not having them?
Well, personally, I haven't been hearing a lot, but I'm probably the wrong person to ask.
That's all I hear. Like I swear every week somebody says to me, "Oh, anyway, why do we have these stupid tags?" It's like, I've already explained it.
Yeah, well, we're trying to save them money. That's why.
I understand.
But I mean, if they prefer simple and pay extra,
Yeah.
but that's defeating the purpose of trying to minimise waste.
I think
Yeah.
the bottle one's good. If they're going to have a big party in it, they can always go to
Yeah.
the cooking.
The
Exactly.
recycling centre's still
I
open.
personally
It's
agree.
just
Yeah,
lazy.
no, that's fine.
All right, moving along. I'm sort of mindful of time.
Can we just talk about the surf club?
Not yet,
Yeah,
not
we're
that
not
page yet.
up to that part.
I'm only going because Callum's not here. Penella, we asked at the last meeting for Callum to get in touch with us within a week or two of our meeting for a drive around at some of those places. We're yet to have that meeting. Are you able to chase that one up, please?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll do that.
I have had the privilege of talking to Callum and probably for the benefit of the board, LED lighting, and we talked about at the surf club and stuff. Callum gave me quite a descriptive that there's a big difference between the LED lighting and the other lighting. It's more of a flood versus a spot.
Yeah.
So he was saying not to change the ones in the car park because you'd get a direct light, not a flood light. So I'm laying off getting that replaced.
Do we need to put one up between the surf club and Tawhiri Road?
Yes, there's one on this side that's not working, so that needs to be reinstated. Definitely.
That's a CCR, and we just put in
Yeah.
a service.
But other than that, that was all I had of Callum, so that's fine. So if we can just chase him up for our drive around at Maketu would be really, really cool. All right, so now we're on to page 24, the surf club.
Is Cullen saying kissing me will help us deal with the water problem up there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
First one, 24, is the surf club park reserve rock reinvestment. There, again, at our last meeting, we asked for an on-site meeting with parks and reserves in regards to sorting that out. I did have an on-site meeting with Scott Parker and an engineer, a contractor. This was more looking at immediate works that can be done straight away that fitted within the maintenance contract. So it didn't generate or require a resource consent or other funding or bits and pieces. It's something that could be done right now and happen. So we've agreed on the sandbags being completely taken away and replaced with new sandbags. We've also agreed that we will have the sets of wooden steps will increase from 1 to 2, but twice as wide. And obviously the bottom step would be, concrete would be, because it's undermined, would be cut off and boxed up and a new bottom step replaced. So all we're really doing is replacing what's there so it will fit within the criteria.
Can I?
But,
Oh, sorry.
but with everything else we do in Maketu, nothing is getting finished. And I'm sick to death of coming back to everybody here in the council and asking, can we carry on with this? How many years has this been going for? And it's where it started. We're absolutely sick of it. We've been here for 3 years and done nothing. You know, all we're doing is replacing the sandbags. Who wants sandbags? We don't. You know, it's about time this council got out of their offices and came out and saw us. We're representing the community, and the community is coming to us and saying, what the hell's happening around Maketu? The grass is growing long in our drains. We've got sandbags on the beach. We've got rocks going into the tide because who cares? You said that you're going to put $50,000 for us to argue with this woman in court, and we haven't heard a bar of it from you guys. And, you know, this isn't the only thing. Everything that we've got, those road up at the school is the same. The sports field, we've been asking to put bollards in so our parents can take our kids down to the skate bowl for the last 3 years. Bollards, something that we can pay for. We asked for curbing up in, we thought we were getting curbing up in Williams Prison, and what did we get? We got a spiral.
I was going to raise exactly more or less what he said, but in the wordings of how come we've waited all this time just recently when it was just as simple as that?
No, I will go back to my original comment and meeting. I'm taking no emphasis off the original concept of the steps down to the beach. I'm not stopping that.
No.
This is just immediate works that can be done now.
But how come the immediate works weren't done when that girl broke her hip from your shop years
Because
ago?
we should be able to do it straight away
Because
because it's immediate work.
Yeah, exactly. I cried out health and safety to this guy almost a year and a half ago when he put that stupid little step thing down there. And now what has it taken? Because all those past stuff just say there's no progress, there's no progress, there's no progress. And then now all of a sudden, oh, there's progress again. It just seems weird. I don't get it, the timeline and why we wait.
I thought immediate work can be done straight away.
It should have been done straight away. Hey, if it was as simple as you doing it now, then I don't understand what's been the hold up while we've had to wait. This works great though. It's going to be better than nothing for now.
Vanilla, can we rearrange another meeting on site? Maybe Scott Parker and Peter Watson. Just might have to go further up the food chain just to get some clarification. Obviously the disapproval of the board, and we've got that money set aside to actually, take the people to task over what we're doing. So yeah, that's my suggestion.
Definitely go ahead with the immediate fix.
But we should be moving forward on all projects.
It's taking too long.
And you can say COVID for so long.
I see it ages ago though, saying that we've got like 5 different pages.
2016, I think I last.
So what's taking?
The proposed plan that we haven't seen yet.
Mhm.
One is, does it go outside the current area of that we've got consent for? Is that why it's taking so long?
Correct.
Well,
Yes.
someone's given another plan and they want to implement that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's the
Jim Darn.
Jim Durham one,
Yeah.
which recesses back and takes out the front row of
Yeah.
park, which is, we agreed as a board, is not
No.
foreseeable. It's not practical because there's not enough parking there now. So
And
we'll
that-
go back to the original council plan, which involved 5 steps going into the sand embankment. And at any given time, you know, it could be 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps that are seen, depending on the shifting of the sand. That is
So
our,
there is the ability though to do a almost complete rebuild of what's there, as long as it stays within the measurements of what's there, right? Based on the current consent.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's why the lawyers are taking
And
so
just
long.
making it so people can actually step down.
The only
So-
added extra would be the wooden steps, but because they're not deemed to be a huge impact or a structure, that's okay from what I can understand.
But you know what I'm trying to say. Like if we're not going outside the measurements of the current consent, we should be able to rebuild them in a safe manner where we've got a complete new set of everything down there.
Yeah,
You can.
well, I don't know.
Correct, but the issue is obviously at any given time, there could be a drop from the bottom step to the sand, and that could be in excess of over 1 metre. So
You got a digger, Shane? You
Sorry,
got a digger?
Yeah, we've both got diggers, Kevin. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'd drop mine off tomorrow. I'll fix it.
There's none of that.
Yours is working at the moment.
But the point.
So are you saying?
Yeah.
Are you saying there's no allowance for steps to be in the current measurements of the current consent?
No,
For us-
unless we go back into the car park. We can't exceed the existing footprint that's there at the moment.
Do we know exactly how big the existing footprint is?
No, I have got a plan somewhere, but the existing structure is well within it. We might get another step added on. I don't know without going into too much detail. Yeah, but that's a valid question. I'm just wondering if it's worth looking at the actual consent, seeing what measurements are there to see what we're allowed to put in now rather than. No, valid point. And Penella, are you able to ask that question of Scott Parker for the original consent and obviously the footprint of where it can go?
Yeah.
And yeah, valid
That'd
point.
be good.
Thank you, William. All right, we're happy with that. Smashed it out enough. All right. Next one is on page
10 pages down.
No.
Page 31, Spencer Ave, reserve levelling. Maketu Community Board funds towards the thing. All right, so that's all good news. Yes, look, I still haven't cited the full resource consent, but I have got the bits out of it that we needed to know for moving forward. And one is that we can bring in clean full, and we can get excavators to level it off and even existing.
Are
So,
we still able to see it because we want to know if we can put a structure on it?
yep,
As a lookout point.
I think that will be on that document that Katie brings out, to be honest.
Yeah, on
Yeah,
the reserves
yeah.
management.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think that would answer your question. All happy there? Next one. Maketu Community Board annual plan request. That the Maketu Community Board provide funding up to $30,000 from Maketu Community Board reserved account for installation of a additional barbecue next to the surf club. You want to add anything to that, William? That's your baby, isn't it?
I'm just waiting for that letter.
Oh, I emailed that. Penella emailed that to me and then I emailed it to you. You not get it?
No, I've been locked out of my emails for a while. I'm waiting for an actual hard copy of it to pass on to them. And once I've got that, it's pretty pretty much tick to go, I think.
All right, we'll chase it up. You still have a copy of that too, Penella, wouldn't you? But I think it required our signatures. Is that correct?
Yeah, so if you've got it on your email, it'd be best to print it off and then sign it on behalf of the board.
Okay.
Because it needs to have your signature on it, Shane, as the chair.
Yes, I think it did. Yeah. So
Yeah.
You need Penella to resend it to you, Shane.
yeah, I'm not much off of William. I've had no power for 3 days, and I'm not likely to get power for another 3 or 4. So yeah, we'll chase it down, but we'll move forward on it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, just let me know when it's all ready to go, and I can grab it and deliver it. And
Yep.
then should be all sweet.
No, just pays for it. Just gotta order it. Next on our list, community board report. The Maketu Community Board agreed to fund up to $50,000 from the Maketu Community Board Reserve Account contribution. So that's pretty much for here. So basically, an update for that would be what the motion was put forward tonight for a further up to $8,000. So that's fine. All good.
Yep.
38. Got your name on it, Stephen. Need for stop signs. It's an appeal of a member of the public. Best concern stopped at Bartiera Road residents. I believe that's been closed off.
I'm very happy with what they've done. They've taken the vegetation away and we can see down the road now, which is very safe.
Yeah.
So do we know if council did that or the owner did that?
The council did.
Council. All right. So
Westlink.
thank Callum for that for us, Penella.
Say thank you to Westlink.
Well,
Get in touch with me. Phone me.
We're up to page 39, Maketu Cycleway. For a more detailed update, including wrestling, to cycle lane, board services, a stage. Yep. All right. So
Can I ask a question?
certainly.
These been funding put aside for consultation with the local people, tangata whenua. Can we sort of access that so we can make some consultation?
Maybe ask a question too.
To anyone that wants to answer, from the councillor to John? No.
Didn't you ask that question last time and they said that the consultation would happen but under their
From the
direction?
council.
Yeah. So my understanding, the answer to that would be no.
We want to move on. I want it to be moved, that's all. We need to move
It's still,
forward.
it stays in there subject to funding availability or something, meaning that the funding streams dried up and they don't have any plan for stage
Well,
2.
can we ask, I thought the funding was out for the cycleway again.
It's,
I read that somewhere too.
yeah, it's in there. Yeah.
That was in the last one.
No, actually, I
They're
think
waiting in the last one.
it's way back in the.
To talk about
22.
consultation for stage 2 and then say that there's no available funding.
Maketu Cycleway. Description, contact 2.5Y Cycleway twin criteria to tell what's happening. Stage 1 has been done. What next? Stage 2, the urban section is still currently in the design phase. Public consultation will occur with residents in due time.
Yeah.
Timing is subject to preparation and funding.
Funding. So it doesn't have essentially.
But I mean-
stage 2.
Yeah, but I mean, it's about moving forward, isn't it? And why should Maketu miss out on the funding because we were the last
We're the first.
when we were supposed to be the first?
Is that still Gary Ellis's baby?
Yes.
Thank you, John. Maybe Gary Ellis might want to add a comment to that for us, Penella, in regards to us being first off the block to last off the block, and now there's no funds available.
And Omaha's got it.
Does he perceive in the future any funds
Can't get
possibly coming available that we can obviously get consultation done in stage 2? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Page 40, on-site meeting requests. Okay, so we already talked about that, so we're up to date with that one. It's all fine. Page, yeah, another request, expense leveling. All right. Scott Parker included that meeting with the other one. So basically, I've pretty much given you updates. He told me with the reserve, the resource consent had gone through for approved funding and leveling. That the contractor, which is just up the road here, Reedy's, is it Reedy's? Reedy's are the contractors that will do the leveling. And obviously if any fill comes in and stuff like that. So they're going to give a price to level the existing dirt piles that are already there, and obviously any other fill that comes in. But I think we did make a resolution many years ago. You remember that, Kevin, where we said we'd invest $10,000 a year in leveling of the land down there? How good's your memory?
Yeah, that's good. But if council are going to do it, it'd be a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
All right. So I won't bring that up then.
No,
I won't mention that then.
It's all can fund it.
Yeah.
Reserve.
Yeah. Reserve's got lots of money. All right. All right. Moving along. Spence Ave, the board's information regarding additional reserve work and over any good clean fill. All right. So basically, that was just a requirement for us to say if there's any fill within Maketu, that should go to that reserve. Can that be black dirt, Shane? Originally, it couldn't be. It had to be decent clay, wasn't it? Yeah, well, we had that conversation. Remember that big contractor? Yeah. East was going to bring all that peaky type stuff out. Yeah. Thousands of meters of it. And they wouldn't allow it. At the time, it got squashed, but you'd have to define what clean fill is. At the end of the day, that probably, I don't know, dries out and is as good as anything. So I think we'd certainly have to look at it again in this day and age, Kevin. Yeah, well,
Well, they found closer places to dump it.
We'll just let Kevin talking over it.
There was, yeah, well, all that clean fill was taken out to McLeod's and Jesus, and that's just gone down like, it's just a normal paddock now. So I can't see why the hell it couldn't have been put there because, it's, as you said, it dries out, it's peat, it's black dirt, and it dries out and in 5 years' time, it'll be absolutely perfect because that at McLeod's, that didn't take a hell of a long to get that to dry out and replant it back into paddock.
Absolutely right.
Yep.
So, and I think that it should be looked at again because there is, other land around that no doubt there will be people looking to put fill in from places like that. So I would think we'd need to put our hand up for that sort of fill.
Totally agree with you, Kevin. I think, definitely we need to put it out there that we're on the hunt for looking for it as well. So
yeah,
totally agree. Yep. The definition of clean fill. Cool. So that's all done. Stop sign. Why is that repeated? Oh, I'm going the wrong way. I'm going the wrong way. No, that's my back page. Yeah, right. Oh. Well, that was the last one anyway.
LED light.
LED lighting, yeah. The board noted the LED lighting had not been installed. Maketu Surf Club requesting this be done certified, and that's exactly what I said before in regards to the existing light there. It might actually draw more power, but it actually illuminates more light. So I think we'll put that one to bed, Penella, if you can.
What about the sports field? We said to bring it up in the report.
Yep. There's a couple of things we can need to add to the infrastructure report. We'll add the sports, the Maketu Sports Club sports field. It's not on here. You want to talk on that?
Yeah, the sports field and how we perceive the sports field going forward. I sent a picture to Camilla to send out to the ones that were going to be on tonight, if they got it. Anyway, the thing that we perceive to see in the sports field is a roadway to the skate track, which follows the fence line of the courts, and then along the beach, and then a circled area around the skate bowl, so the parents can actually go there And in the evening, as the lights go out, the kids are safe rather than the parents sitting over here in the car park. Secondly, we're doing the pump. We're looking at doing a pump track down the side there. A rugby goal with a soccer that can be connected or taken off the rugby field, and a running track around sports field. There's plenty of room for that car park. We're hoping to start off just having a seasonal one, so it'll close at Anzac Day and reopen Labour Day. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And it'll be just the grass with poles being stuck in to stop people going onto the field. And we'll close the start of it off with a gate rather than, what are they called? Pole. A pole, yeah, because they tend to pull those out of the ground. Make it more permanent. We've been asking for this for, I don't know, for the last year and a bit, and we've got nowhere. We haven't even had an on-site meeting. And all we're asking for is those poles to be put on the ground because the community want it, and we're the community board and we're here for the community. And all we're asking for is those poles to be stuck in the ground. Surely we got enough funds to do that.
We do, but the hold up was that we're waiting for the Parks and Reserves bylaw review. And that's
Well,
what
they
they
came-
keep saying.
They came later.
But they
It's only
said we
just
could
happened.
never do anything on the reserves in the meantime until the review
Yeah.
had happened, gone for consultation and come back. That's why I'm knowing that it was going to take another
Well, it's
year.
out now, so we can do it.
Yeah, just 2 days ago. We haven't even seen the draft plan. It's got to go back to the community consultation again.
Has Penella got a copy of that?
Yes, she has. She's not in the.
All right, Penella, if we can just moving forward, obviously the review thing's gone through. We haven't seen the proposals down for Maketu Sports Field as yet.
It could be nothing.
But maybe we can now ask for an on-site meeting with Sue Hammond in regards to what we're proposing, and if you don't mind sending her that draft.
Yep.
Heads up that that's something we'd like to propose to happen sooner than later. Get the ball rolling.
Before the end of our term.
All good? Yep. All right. Just a couple of things, Penella, I'd like to see reinstated back into the infrastructure report. There's two things that have been deleted over the time, and I don't understand why. One is the replacement of the stormwater culvert at the intersection of Spencer Ave and Maketu Road. I know Kevin would be nodding his head saying, where is it? Is that true, Kevin?
Yeah, well, the regional council, they were willing to give us $50,000 for that. So why the hell hasn't it been done? Like this has been going on for the last 6-8 years now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we should.
Another Raywin Bennett problem.
I'm just trying to get the location of that in my head properly. So we're talking about that culvert that goes under the road.
Right by the mongrel mob there. It's by the mongrel mobs.
Oh, no.
So I had just a note on that. I had a meeting with there's a Charles Tapsell. He's the engineering guy with the Western Bay. I had a meeting with him. I was wearing my other hat at this meeting. It wasn't a Western Bay hat, but the regional council in Western Bay talked about upgrading the 3 culverts to at those 3 sites. So there's the one by the sports field there. There was a one that runs into Whakapo Korero behind those houses, and the other one down by Red's place. They were talking about putting in a better gate. Fish-friendly gate, and something that can't be tampered with to allow it to work properly. So they talked about those 3 specific culverts and them going ahead soon.
Brilliant. Yeah, Stephen. William, just a bit of update on the history. We've been through the fight in regards to fish-friendly versus stormwater drains. Hence why that's been removed. The deal that we cut with regional council was to put another pipe in the same diameter parallel with the existing pipe. One of those pipes would be left open to get rid of any excessive large amounts of storm water, and the other one would be a fish-friendly gate. So that was the deal. Hans offered to pay half or around 50, 80,000, I can't remember offhand, towards reinstating it. What's happened is the cycleway coming into Maketu threw another curveball onto it, which meant that Culvert had to extend another 3 meters to take on the new cycleway. What we're concerned about now is that second stage cycleway may never happen. So therefore, we're going back to the drawing board and saying, well, that culvert should go back in now regardless. So that's a bit of history on it. Would be correct?
Yeah, well, I think there was a new rule came through last or that new it's like a freshwater policy statement or something came through that the culverts and gates coming in and out of wetlands need to be upgraded to suit the the environmental needs for some of those places. So that's what we were talking about that day, and I can tell you that there's going to be some pretty, I think, advanced technological gates kind of chucked on those, which I think the councils have to be within the regs of those new freshwater rules, I suppose.
And saying that, I thought Rowan Bennett had put a halt to this whole eastern catchment being upgraded for their stormwater. I thought that.
No, I've been told that can't happen. It's just as with the consent at the surf club. As long as it's within the parameters of the existing consent, no one can stop it.
Yeah. But the one that's going to be the cycleway is making it different, doesn't it?
Not really. You're just extending the pipe further into
so that doesn't matter.
No, it shouldn't make any
So down at the Spencer Road there, we still need to put a bridge across because the kids are walking on the road and they shouldn't be.
Yeah, I think that's probably something for us to talk about. But I don't think that wasn't discussed at the meeting that I had with these other guys.
It's just something that I'm putting forward that needs to happen. Yeah. If they're going to put those in, it's a good time to put their bridge across over those culverts.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Yep.
So it can either fit for the cycleway, but they need to walk on something rather than the road.
Yeah. No one ever goes 50 down there, eh?
No, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
All right, Stephen, you might have more influence in that matter than anything. But in the meantime, Penella, if you can put an infrastructure report so we can keep it on the burner and obviously readdress it at the coming meetings, much appreciated. Secondly on my list, if we can go hunting, we also had the under our 3-year vision of 2 new CCTV cameras to be installed in Maketu. We were put on hold because of the CCTV review going through council. It obviously has gone through council. It has been approved, and committee boards and of such can obviously have them. So I'd like that to be reinstated and put in. Unfortunately, we missed out on that 50,000 or part of that $50,000 grant that council were giving out for cameras. So we did agree that we'd pull money out of our reserve account to install those 2 cameras. So if we could have those put into the system again, that would be much appreciated as well.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We put maintenance on the agent. Yeah, to keep up the maintenance.
4,000, it's in our budget. I don't know who's paying for it now. All right, so that's pretty much. And the last couple of pages on the infrastructure report was basically money we've got reserves, money we've spent, that sort of stuff. So we're all happy otherwise. I did ask the question, Penella, and if you can remember, I was confused about the money that was in the brackets. Is that money to be spent, is spent, or
remaining?
It's
should
remaining.
be the remaining amount. However, I think that money remaining for the entrance signs is incorrect. I'm going to follow that up with finance because what I have processed payment wise is slightly different. So I'll just double check that and get them to rerun. But my understanding is it is what is remaining from the committed funds.
And the other one that sort of rung alarm bells with me was with the fountain at the park. We allocated up to 5,000. Is that saying that we had an underspend of 3,000? Is that how I read it?
That's how I read it as well. I can follow up to double check that that's correct. This is December last year, so whether it's just been late, I'll double check for you.
That'll be cool. Brilliant. Yeah. Great. Anything else? Traditional gym. Okay, the gym stuff's all being done again. Is there an underspend with that gym equipment too, Penella? I've questioned that one as well, because when I spoke to Parks and Reserves, we said we had up to 20,000 to spend on 2 additional bits of equipment, and it looks like only half has been spent.
Yeah, I'll follow it up. I'm unsure. It does look to me as though it's saying that there's 10,000 remaining.
Yeah.
So I'll just see I'll follow it up for you.
If you can do, it's obviously when we did our budgeting for our money, what we've spent and not spent, and underspending is a good thing, don't get me wrong, but
you want to be sure.
Just going back, Shane, because you've actually moved to the financial report, so we just needed a mover and a seconder for the infrastructure.
Okay. Yeah. Stephen, seconder. John, those in favour say aye. Aye. Okay, thank you. Sorry for that.
All right.
Now we're into financial. All right, so other than that, I think everything was pretty well, I was reasonably happy with. The small print, it's so scary when I see small print.
Yeah, just financial.
Because you can't see it.
Don't worry. Don't want to see.
All right, so any other questions regarding financials? You're happy? All right, anyone like to move financial?
Yep.
Stephen, seconded. I'm happy to second that.
Will it too?
And then what's Will doing?
Nothing.
Next one.
Yeah. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. And I think we're pretty much on to last and least, which is 9.6 community board meetings. Call for a second and a move and a shaker that you're happy with those dates.
Yeah.
For the skulls, Laura, seconded William. Thanks, William. Those in favour say aye. Great stuff, people. That draws an end to our community board meeting. It's been a bit of a marathon one, this one. But again, a good one. I think we've covered a lot of ground. Good thing. It's good to be in the new premises and see what it's like under these conditions. Thank you, John, for being part of our meeting tonight. Much appreciated. Always a pleasure to see you. Again, always out this way for a coffee. Do drop in. William, hope you get better soon. Kevin, you can
I'll be right.